When I came back from Luang Prabang, I didn't have a thing where my balls used to hang, but I had a wooden medal and a fine harangue. Now I'm a fucking hero. Mourn your dead land of the free. If you wanna be a hero, follow me. Mourn your dead land of the free. If you wanna be a hero, follow me. And 120 cannons thunder into the mighty wild blue yonder for patriotic lawless wonder. Now I'm a fucking hero. Mourn your dead land of the free. If you wanna be a hero, follow me. Mourn your dead land of the free. If you wanna be a hero, follow me. In Luang Prabang there is a spot where the corpses of your brothers rot, and every corpse is a patriot. Every corpse is a hero. Mourn your dead land of the free. If you wanna be a hero, follow me. Mourn your dead land of the free. If you wanna be a hero, follow me. Oh, thank you, thank you for the $5 Pangloss. I appreciate it. It's so nice to get a fucking, it's so nice to get a super chat right at the very beginning. That's a nice sign. That's a good sign. Needed this stressful night. Oh man. Yeah. Well, you've got the good vibes to look forward to tonight at the very least, At least I provide that, if nothing else. We've also got a ton of news to discuss. Really not a ton of news. We've got a news story with a lot of angles on it that I think is probably going to have some transformative effects here in America over the course of the next little while. So, we'll see what kind of stream it ends up being. What's up, Lady Ray? Lady Ray? Make sure you guys hit that like button as you're starting to roll in. Every single time you hit that like button is another chance to send the stream out to even more people, which increases the quality of your viewing pleasure and increasing the number of people engaging in the chat. Please, please help. How long till I start getting a bunch of comments about how people like me are the reason why this happened? It's not working as well as it normally does. I haven't been keeping up. Have they revealed who done it? No. As of the last news I read, we still don't know exactly who did it. There was somebody in custody earlier, and they released their name, but it turned out like that he was definitely not the one who did it, and so they had to retract that, I guess. So as of right now, no. We are still in the dark as to who did this, as far as I know. This guy is the shooter? Well, number one, I'm not a guy. Number two, I am a pacifist, and I have openly and publicly advocated for peaceful resistance to the fascist wave currently sweeping over America. I would never advocate for assassination because I recognize it as a politically ineffective tool. It is a politically ineffective tactic. resistance is not peaceful? Sure it is. Some resistance is peaceful, some resistance is violent. I would argue that some of the most effective resistance ever done in America was the peaceful resistance led by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the 1950s and 60s, which led to the Civil Rights Act, or I should say the Civil Rights Acts, because they were multiple pieces of legislation, all of which had to be fought for with peaceful, nonviolent resistance. There we go. Now you guys should be able to see me. Killing somebody over different beliefs is pathetic. I tend to agree. But honestly, even more important to me than it being a pathetic strategy, I think it's an ineffective one. I don't think it actually works to do the things that people that do these kinds of things cite as caring about. And but then again, we don't know what this was. We don't know what the motivation behind this was. There is every possibility that this is some kind of disgruntled right winger who doesn't think that the basically doesn't think that the Turning Point USA boys go far enough. This could easily be a disgruntled right winger. It could be a leftist, but there's no guarantee that it is. But yeah, make sure you guys hit that like button as you're rolling in. Once we get like a decent number of people in here, it'll be kind of like easier to talk about this because there'll be way more people engaging in the chat. But for now, the best way you can help with that is by hitting that like button. Excuse me. Why would someone who agrees with Charlie shoot him? Well, I'm thinking that it might be somebody from the right who doesn't necessarily agree with Charlie. You got to remember, there is a diversity of thought on the right wing, just like there's diversity of thought on the left wing. You realize not everybody on the left is a Democrat, right? You realize not everybody on the right is a Republican? Just like there are people farther to the left than Democrats, there are people far farther to the right than Charlie Kirk and his ilk. And we don't know yet if it's one of those extremists or one of the leftist extremists that did that. Or here's a fucking crazy thing. What if it's just some fucked up crazy person? What if it's just some insane motherfucker that thought this would be a cool way to get some kind of what if it's a delusion that the person is operating under? What if it's some kind of schizophrenic kind of paranoid delusion? Who the fuck knows? We know nothing yet about the perpetrator. All of what we're doing right now is called speculating, and none of it has any weight. The truth of this will be revealed probably in a few days, and in the interim, all we have are guesses. But there's a few things we can definitely say. Number one, this isn't going to lead to some kind of movement of fear out of the right wing. In fact, this is going to have the opposite effect. So if this was a leftist that did this, I hope they know that they just shot the left in the foot. If this was a leftist, God, I hope they realize what a moron they were. I almost hope that it's some COINTELPRO kind of shit. Not, obviously not the same targets, but I'm almost hoping that it's some kind of fucking government conspiracy or some kind of shadowy conspiracy shit. I'm really hoping that it's not legitimately a true believer from the left that did this. I'm really fucking hoping, because it is going to become a nightmare a nightmare arguing with conservatives for the next year and a fucking half. If this ends up becoming any kind of like self-avowed socialist or anything like that, dude, this shit's going to become so fucking cringe so fucking quick. The guilt by association is going to run fucking wild. Why do you have a dress on? This isn't a dress. This is a blouse. And why do I have it on? Because it's comfy and it's cute and I like it. Rest in peace? Nah. Rest in piss. Let's not pretend like Charlie Kirk was some kind of good guy. Just because I don't agree with this assassination doesn't mean I necessarily see it as like in and of itself, I'm not sad about Charlie Kirk leaving the world. The thing I'm sad about is the way he left the world. Because I think that the way he left the world is going to have long-lasting consequences, and the only way it's not going to have incredibly negative consequences, in my opinion, is if it ends up being a right-winger of some variety that killed him. If it ends up being a right-winger of some variety that killed him, then maybe we won't have to deal with that kind of uptick in fascistic rhetoric that's going to come, and the political repression that's surely going to come if it ends up being a leftist who did this. But if it ends up being a leftist who did it, I mean, you're going to see massive political repression of the only side of politics that actually cares about making sure that workers get paid, about making sure that housing doesn't keep going up infinitely. And by the way, I'm not talking about Democrats, I'm talking about leftists. You know, the people who occasionally make a Democrat do a good thing every now and again. Yeah, those people are going to be persecuted massively if this turns out to have been some kind of you know, right winger or something like, or a left winger or something like that. Make sure you guys hit that like button, by the way. There are 200 people watching. If half of you guys hit that like button right now, we would have 100 likes like that. So please hit that button. It really does help. Every single time you hit that button, by the way, it sends the stream out to even more people, which increases the quality of your viewing pleasure by increasing the number of people who can engage with the chat. So it helps you, it helps me, it helps everybody. It's just a good thing to do. Can you go on? I don't even get why you think I would have something at fucking 12 at night. You got a whole pasture to fuck around in. Go fuck around somewhere else. God. I know, before you ask, I'm not streaming next to her bedding area. She's hearing me from all the way across the field and coming all the way up over here just to be a nosy bitch. A nosy heifer, I should say. Do we have any mods right now? Like, do we have any Jannies that can get rid of the Kratom spammer? Okay, cool. I'm not trying to call you out, Lady Ray. The fact that you don't care about his death is disgusting. Show some heart. Dude, I'm sorry, but I cannot feel bad, like, on a human, like, I do feel bad on some level, I'm not gonna lie. I feel bad for the people that had to witness that shit. I feel bad for his kids and his wife that had to watch that shit go down. His 1-year-old probably won't remember it, but his 3-year-old is gonna remember that shit. That's gonna be a horrible thing to have to recover from. And I care about it on that level, but when it comes to Charlie Kirk himself as a figure, dude, Charlie Kirk himself said that some deaths to guns every year is the price you have to pay for freedom with the Second Amendment. That's a quote from Charlie Kirk himself. Why would I feel bad about a dude who already justified his own death? The thing I lament is the fucking rhetorical position that it's going to put people like me and other leftists and all kinds of people in this country that care about like the truth and human rights and civil rights and that kind of thing. It puts us in a horrible fucking position if this ends up being some kind of leftist or something like that, because like it's one more piece of ammunition that nobody had to give the conservatives. Like nobody had to go and do this. Like if this did end up being a leftist, which we don't know yet. We do not know yet. Everybody's assuming that it's a leftist, and I can understand why. Because, you know, if you're talking about some, like, super highly opinionated dude, and I'll tell you another reason why everybody is assuming it's a leftist, because Charlie Kirk is not your fucking garden variety conservative. We're not talking about fucking, who's a good example? Like Greg Gutfeld or something here, okay? We're not talking about a dude who's, like, center-right or right-wing, but you know, kind of funny or whatever about it. Like, we're talking about a dude who has literally justified the stoning of gay people. We're talking about a dude who has made thinly veiled calls for violence against other groups of people. So one of the reasons why people are so broadly assuming that it's a leftist is because the left is really the only group in America that ever makes counter threats towards people who do that kind of thing. They know that Charlie Kirk has been spitting out a bunch of fucking violent rhetoric his entire career, and they don't really want to account for that fact. They want to gloss over that. Let me see, I got a super chat. People in the comments are bigots. Oh yeah, Alice, that's something you deal with a lot over here. But honestly, I don't even worry about it. Let me see here. Hey, thank you, Winston, for buying the membership. I appreciate that. If anybody else wants to join the membership, once I get 50 or more members, we will start doing members-only streams. I will schedule them regularly, and I will be on time for them. These just kind of happen whenever, but my members-only streams, I will, you know, bend over backwards to make sure those get done on time. Charlie Kirk has never been into violence. So I couldn't find some quotes of Charlie Kirk advocating for thinly, like, you know, making thinly veiled, not threats maybe, but, dude, I hate it when a blunt spits on me. Dude, I hate that shit so much. But this one's just not wanting to smoke, honestly. I don't know if it's something I did to it, or if I rolled it too tight, or fucking what, but... Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Definitely overfilled this one. Alright, I'm going to put us in moron mode. I haven't had to do it in a while, but we're going to do it so I can actually have like a readable chat for 5 minutes. Alright. Yeah, any duration subscribers, and we'll do a 15-second message delay. Yeah. Sub, rate, do all the things. Yeah. Make sure you guys hit that like button. If half of you guys hit that like button right now, we would have like fucking like 6, 18. What's the fucking equation? 9, 18. We'd have like 90 fucking likes, like 94 likes instantly on top of the 30 we already have. That'd be like 120 likes. So all of you, just hit that like button right now. Hit it. It helps the channel. It helps your experience by increasing the number of people that can engage in the chat. It's just a generally good thing to do. Somebody said I suck at rolling, and the thing is, I normally don't. I normally roll really good ones, so the fact that this one is just like having so many problems is actually kind of fucking with me a little bit. Is nobody sub today? I don't know. There's a good chance that a lot of people aren't just because we're talking about this Charlie Kirk shit. But yeah, what the fuck were we talking about? I got sidetracked. God damn it. Instead of being a specific political party, do you think it might be a government attack? I genuinely believe all options are on the table right now. I think that there's a chance that it could have been government related. I think that there's a chance that it could be political. I think that there's a chance that it could just be some fucking insane person. You know? I don't think we exactly know yet. I don't think we're gonna know for probably a while. At least a couple of days, right? That would be my assumption. Why would Mossad kill a fucking super pro-Israeli dude? Why would Mossad kill a pro-Israeli speaker? That just makes no sense. Dude, I love how Mossad gets blamed for every fucking single assassination that happens. Dude, I would understand if we were talking about, like, somebody that's anti-Israel, but we're not, dude. And so many of the people that get accused of so many of the people whose assassins get accused of being, you know, Israeli plants or whatever, like, so many of them are some variety of Zionists, you know? Israel has never attacked pro-Israel people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it doesn't make a lot of sense for them to. Like, I would have to have some reason why they would do that. Ow. You think the shooter should face the death penalty? No, I don't believe in the death penalty. I think that the death penalty is an example of legalized and normalized bloodlust. Not just in our country, but in every country that has it. I don't think there's a single good argument for legalized, normalized bloodlust. Killing whoever killed Charlie Kirk is not going to unkill Charlie Kirk. His body is not going to magically resurrect because you killed the motherfucker that killed him. Would that it were so, but it's not. Are you a real transformer? If you're trying to ask if I'm trans, then yes. If you mean like I'm one of the big cars that does the like cool shit on the movies, nah. Can I ask you a question? Sure. That's what this is all about. Make sure you guys hit that like button, by the way. Every single time you hit that like button, it's a chance to send the stream out to even more people, which increases the quality of Evergreen pleasure by increasing the number of people that can engage with the chat. Really is helpful for you, for me, for everybody. And if you want to make sure your question gets answered or your comment gets read, consider sending a super chat. It's a great way to financially support the channel. If you're somebody from the DFF audience, I just want to let you guys know that if you want to contribute to my spending money fund, everything I make this month will be part of that fund next for the meetup on November 1st. Because of the way YouTube payouts work out. So just saying, just putting it out there. I mean, not all of it. I'll have to pay some bills for some of it, obviously. But I'm just saying, just putting it out there, okay? If you don't believe in capital punishment, what's your thoughts on pedos and such being sentenced to prison when the judge knows they're going to die in there? Is that not the same thing? No, it's not the same thing, especially because prisons can present in a lot of different ways. A prison can mean a lot of different things. It can mean different things to different parts of the world. It can mean different things in different political environments even. Prisons could be places that are rehabilitative, or at the very least, that aren't destructive to the minds and bodies of the people that live there. There are some people, like the aforementioned pedos, and like this assassin probably, killers, violent people, that we should probably segregate from society. Maybe some that we should even segregate for life. Somebody like Jeffrey Dahmer, I don't think he could ever be properly rehabilitated. But I also don't believe in torturing him to death. Nor do I believe in placing him in a de facto torture chamber like what happened to him. I think Jeffrey Dahmer should have been kept alive in some kind of facility that assured him a reasonable level of security, not least of all because we could have learned more about the way people like his brains work. Because if we could figure that shit out, we could probably prevent a lot of these really fucking disgusting and heinous crimes, things that go even farther than this. Because say what you will about what happened today, Charlie Kirk died and probably, I mean, I know he technically kept on living, you know, like all the way to the hospital, died like an hour after getting there. But he was brain dead within seconds. I mean, there's no way. He was unconscious and not with it within seconds. And a dude with his fucking philosophy and viewpoint, he probably had, like, the whole going to heaven experience and everything. Dude, you could ask for way worse ways to die. And if you want evidence for that, just look at Jeffrey Dahmer and what he did to his victims. Just look at Ted Bundy and what he did to his victims. Look at any of these massive serial killers that have done, like, the most repugnant things you can imagine. There are way worse ways to die. And I don't think those people should have been sentenced to capital punishment, so why would I believe this assassin should? No, what I think should happen to people that are violent and can't be returned to society is, you know, some kind of like segregation from society, but one that does not, like I said, one that does not destroy their mental health or their bodies. If you're concerned about human rights, I don't think you make yourself look more dignified by, you know, denying them whenever convenient. What the fuck did I do with my lighter? Did it fall somewhere or something? Oh, yeah, it did. Can you counter the argument that the recent stabbing in North Carolina that killed the Ukrainian girl is the fault of the Democrats being soft on crime and that the killer was a career criminal? That... Are you in Joshua Tree National Park? That's so specific, but no. I couldn't be farther from a fucking Joshua tree if I tried, bro. Well, I guess if I was literally on the eastern seaboard or something, but no, I'm in Mississippi. I'm against the death penalty too, but at what point does it stop being a punishment and just a new way of life? I mean, it might, like, here's the thing. Does it actually make sense? I know this might sound kind of weird and fucked up, but, times like this call for crazy new ideas. Does it actually make sense to punish someone for something like that? Because what is a punishment supposed to do? Correct behavior, right? Punishments are supposed to correct behavior. I guess you could devolve them even further and say that it's like more for the benefit of the people who are seeing the person gets punished. It's to set an example and for the aggrieved to feel like their issue has been addressed. But even then, I don't think you're going to prevent political assassinations merely by harshly punishing those who commit them. I don't think you're going to prevent serial killing by merely punishing severely those who commit them, which is why I'm a favor of the banishment model, basically. I don't know, like we'd take a fucking giant island somewhere or some big patch of land somewhere in the middle of nothing, and we plop them there. And, they've got the basic supplies to live and everything, and there's like some basic police forces and everything that are making sure, they're not killing each other, more or less. But other than that, they're pretty much left to their own devices. And another thing, there should be no war on drugs in these prisons. Let them fucking Xan and weed and fucking heroin themselves out into complete non-violent submission. Let them take care of themselves in some meager standard or whatever way they want. Give them access to classes. Maybe even give them access to ways that they can contribute to the wider world without harming the wider world. But there are some people you have to segregate from society. And a lot of the crimes that we're talking about here, when it comes to those people, are crimes that I don't think you're going to get in front of merely by punishing the people who do them. I think we've been trying that for a really long time, and I think we see the results of it. I don't think it's very effective. So let me see here. Kaiser asked, "You should have already been locked up." Okay, so can you counter the argument that the recent stabbing in North Carolina that killed the Ukrainian girl is Volkrat's being assault on crime, and the killer was a career criminal that should have already been locked up if not for bleeding heart liberals let him out too soon? I would argue that North Carolina is not a liberal state. North Carolina is an incredibly red state. That would be my first counter, is like, well, how can it be the Democrats' fault if the Democrats don't control the state house? Which as far as I know, North Carolina ain't flipped. John Grisham's new book, Framed, talks about over a dozen people that were wrongfully convicted and put on death row, some for 20 or 30 years before being exonerated. That's a really good point to bring up, Kaiser. Really good fucking point to bring up. And yes, it sure fucking does. I love John Grisham. But John Grisham isn't the only dude to talk about it either. There have been all kinds of fucking people who have pointed out the obvious truth that there have been innocent people who have damn near gotten fucking killed because the state believed that they were guilty. Because maybe even some of their peers believed they were guilty. And because it went all the way to that final conclusion. Some of these people might have been on their third or fourth, they might have been hold on. They might have been just a few appeals away from getting, getting fucking killed by the state, basically. Because you only get so many. You only get so many appeals before they're just like, nope, appeal denied. You don't even have the right to bring it up. And at that point, it takes fucking an act of God to get you out. Well, not an act of God, but an act of the governor, which might actually be a harder ask. You know what's funny? Not that train. Stop, please. Bruh. Two shorts, one long, one short. Or no, two longs, one short, one long. Bruh. Bruh, I hate living next to a fucking at-grade crossing. Whew. Now it's legitimately hot. Okay. Is that a crossing? There's different signals for different things. Crossing is long, short, long. Yeah, it's an at-grade crossing. It's an at-grade crossing, and that's exactly, yeah, that's the signal they should have been honking. I have no idea why they'd be honking any other one. I don't live next to a rail yard. I do live next to a side out, but I know there's no specific signal for just pulling up to a switch. Let's see. If I remember correctly, it's two short beeps for when you're about to start moving. It's two longs, one short, and one long when you're going through a level crossing. Those are the only ones I know. Dude, I want to learn that song so bad. And he goofed up. The last long has to last through the crossing. He must have gone too early. Yup, he did. But I feel like a skilled engineer that realizes they went too early will kind of like time them out as much as he can, you know? Like, durr, 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 you know? Or maybe even speed up just a tiny bit to get, like, I don't know, dude. Like, I feel like there's, like, engineers that come by this place pretty regularly, and they're always, like, very nice about the horn. But then there's some motherfuckers that I just have to assume just don't come down this way very often or don't give a fuck. Because they just be laying it on, dude. Laying it on. laying it on, bro. God damn. Oh, that shit drives me fucking insane. Oh man, I fucking sat here one night and came up with a whole fucking system by which you could exclude, like literally completely exclude vehicles from train tracks whenever they're about to be crossed, thereby eliminating the need for a horn. And the whole reason I came up with this shit was because I was sitting outside streaming, or sitting in the office trailer streaming, or something like that, streaming, and had to listen to a fucking train passing. And all I think is, man, if it weren't for the fact that cars can fucking regularly cross over train tracks, that there's nothing preventing them from doing that but a flimsy little gate that they can ignore if they want to for some reason, that's the only reason you have to have a fucking train horn when you cross level crossing. You notice you notice when a train crosses a bridge over a road, it doesn't honk. It's because there's no danger of cars on the railroad. What city in Mississippi? Are there Crocs out there? Hell nah, dude. Every so often you'll hear about a sighting of one, but I always think those people are fucking with me. I don't believe nobody that says they've seen a Croc around here. Not for a fucking second. Not up this far. I know they exist in the southern half, but I ain't never heard of any credible reports on the northern half. Not that weren't tied to somebody releasing one. Somebody will have a pet croc sometimes, and once it gets like crocodile size, they'll realize, like, I literally need a rehab center to take care of this thing. But rather than take it to a rehab center, they'll just take it to a swamp and let it go. Luckily, they don't usually know how to survive in the wild that well, so they kind of just like die, usually. But sometimes they do live for a while. Sometimes they've got enough of that instinct still. Not to be rude, but you're mentioning that we should have researched Dahmer's brain to prevent future problems, but the guy would isolate himself and dismember animals. The writing was on the wall, girl. I don't think that's actually true. He was dismembering animals, but that, like, dude, okay, what is dismembering animals and being a creepy motherfucker for one person is taking the steps to be a biologist at some point in the future for somebody else. Like, somebody could almost make that argument for me, that I was dismembering animals as a kid. Now, the truth of it, that's one way you could frame it. But the way I would frame it is, I was helping my dad process livestock as we would slaughter them. He was teaching me how to properly, ethically kill a chicken and cut it up into the little portions, or at the very least pluck it and get it dressed so there's no entrails or anything left in it, and get it ready to chill out in the freezer, chill out in the fridge and then get wrapped up and go into the freezer. Was that me, in training to become a sociopath or something? No, obviously not. And I also had a period of my life where I was isolating myself. So I don't know that you necessarily could predict what Dahmer would be just from how he was. I feel like it's one of those hindsight kind of things. Like, hindsight is 20/20, and people look at somebody like Dahmer and they're like, well, look at how fucking many parallels there were to the things he was doing as a kid. And yeah, of course they were corollary for him, but they aren't necessarily always for everybody, which is why psychology isn't an exact science. So you want to build a bridge over every train track crossing? Not Crocs, but gators. Yeah, it would be gators. But yeah, no, I don't want to build a bridge over every train track crossing. What I want to do is I want to make these railroads install fencing and a gate, okay? Fencing that goes for 500 feet in either direction from the level crossing, and a gate that is designed so that when it's open super wide. It's open for as many lanes of traffic as need to be in there, and it's fine, and it's not obtrusive, and it just folds up real nice. But when a train comes through, this gate closes, and once it locks into place, it will crash a car before it fails and allows a car to get into the area of the train track. That's what I want to do. But honestly, it'd be easier than that. You wouldn't even need that shit. You wouldn't even need a complicated gate setup that comes up and down or left to right or whatever. You just need, what are they called? I can't remember what they're called. Bollards? Is that what they're called? You would need, I think they're bollards is the word I'm looking for. If you modernized every single level crossing and supplied them with fucking electricity, unless it's like super rural. I guess if the collective population of like the next mile around that level crossing like 10, then I guess you don't have to have a fancy level crossing. But for anywhere where there's people, you know, anywhere where there's a like significant number of people, because there's probably 10 people living within a stone's throw of that level crossing, you know. And for a place like here, what I think they should probably have is a modernized intersection with pavement that allows them to install bollards that automatically come up and lock into place whenever a train's coming through and go down and fall away whenever a train's not coming through. But what if a car gets stuck on the tracks? Then it can't get off. Also, pedestrians are wild and can just jump the gate. Sometimes they just ban the horn after night in certain areas. Oh man. Oh god, I wish they'd do that here. But dude, they wouldn't do it. And I understand why. On the one hand, it's because it's not safe. But that's why I want to, like, that's kind of why I have the idea that I have, right? So maybe my idea should be like a combined solution. I don't know, dude. I would clearly need to fucking research it some more and do some more workshopping on this idea. But I legit do not see a reason why it wouldn't work. You've got a bollard system that pops up within 30 seconds of a train about to be there, or 2 minutes of a train about to be there, or something like that. And here's how you prevent it from like getting cars stuck on it. It doesn't deploy until it detects a certain amount of weight over installed in the level crossing. So, oh, that train's about to start moving. I can hear the air brakes letting off. Anyway, so yeah, it's programmed to delay its run until a car clears it, if there is a car on there, and then run it until the train is off. It would obviously have to have some kind of redundant backup controller that literally ensures that if a train is coming, that train is like proximity linked to the gate still, and like that way the weight doesn't confuse it, right? Like the weight problem doesn't confuse it. I think that this could be fucking done. I think it could be done. I think it could be fucking really fucking good, and it would prevent the need for horns. So like it gets the signal to close, it detects a car on the level crossing. Honestly, it wouldn't even need to use weight necessarily. It could use like in With modern technology, this shit could be ran with cameras and AI or some shit like that. It could be so simple to do like an audible warning if there is somebody detected in the level crossing. Be like, warning, a train is about to cross. Please clear the crossing. Yep, that's right. Or no. Was that right? Yeah, it's moving. But it also looks like there's another fucking train coming through. What the fuck, man? That's 3 trains in fucking the space like 20 minutes. I disagree with plenty of the shit he said, but political assassination isn't the way. There's a lot weighing on the motive of the shooter. I mourn for his family, not for him. That's kind of my thing, too. Yeah, Charlie Kirk said some reprehensible shit, and honestly, I'm not, like, I don't mourn for him. I kind of mourn for his family. I think it's fucked up that they're going to have to deal with this shit. Like, I think it's kind of fucked up that they're going to have to, like, they'll literally be coping with what they saw today for the rest of their lives. There's no getting around that. Those folks are going to be fucking coping with that for the rest of their lives. It's such a reprehensible thing to have to see, and I can't imagine being in their position. But as far as he goes himself, I think Charlie Kirk was honestly one of the people adding to the vitriol. I was talking about this earlier. I think Charlie Kirk is like partly responsible for things being the way they are. Like, people are going to mourn his death, and I, to a degree, understand why. But on the other hand, I think it's kind of absurd that nobody seems to, or so few people seem to recognize that. I'm not saying, this is not me saying he deserved it by any means. I do not believe in assassination at all. I think it's wrong. I think it's an ineffective tactic. But he was part of the fucking system that generated this kind of rhetoric. And he's been part of that system for so fucking long. He's been part of that rhetoric machine. He's been part of that system. You say the truth like that's not a meaningless term these days, dude. Me and you believe in 2 completely different concepts of the truth. You realize that? To me, the shit Charlie Kirk said his whole life was fucking literally horseshit. I don't think Charlie Kirk probably said a true thing the whole time he was fucking a media figure. I doubt it. To you, it's unvarnished, unquestionable truth. This is called the difference of perspective. I think they're sick of the Islamic invasion of Europe. What? Hold on, Winston. Hold on. Because I've argued against this kind of rhetoric before, and now I'm kind of curious. Like, when you say they're sick of the Islamic invasion, see, like, I hear 2 different things coming out of Europeans. It seems like there's a minority, a sizable minority, but it seems like there's a minority that is pretty fucking sick and tired of immigrants. And then it seems like there's a lot of people who are still cool with them and think that Europe needs to continue welcoming in immigrants from the Middle East and things like that. So, like, wherein does the truth lie? Wherein does the truth lie? And ultimately, is there any truth to be derived? Because I think, like, humanitarian crises remain humanitarian crises, regardless of whether they're sick of fucking immigration or not. Like, something has to be done with those people. What are we going to do? Drive them into the sea? It's one thing to say, hey, we're getting full up over here. We're running out of room. Can America start taking some of these folks? We don't have any problem with them, like, culturally, food-wise, anything like that. It's just like, fucking, you know, there's only so many cottages in Germany, okay? That'd be one thing. If they're just rejecting the very idea of immigration, that is kind of a worrying sign to me. Even if you're a Republican, it was political, stop. We don't know if it was or not. It probably was. We don't know for a fact that it was political yet. We don't know for a fact that it was political yet. It may be. May have been. Maybe it wasn't. I'm so sad and pained that someone speaking their mind freely was killed in front of his 2 kids and the wife so brutally, as well as college kids in the world. It kills me. I can't help but kind of feel the same way, honestly. In my mind, the tragedy is not necessarily the Charlie Kirk, you know, purveyor of fucking evil, grifter, right-wing bullshit takes for the last fucking 10 years. In my mind, the tragedy is not the loss of him. The tragedy is that so many people had to see that shit. The tragedy is that his kids had to witness that shit, and his wife had to witness that shit. A bunch of people who had nothing to do with what he's saying had to witness that shit. A bunch of college kids, many of whom, including the person who was asking that fucking question when he got shot, disagreed with him. It's awful. That video is awful. I saw it on Reddit. I had to go watch because people kept fucking hyping it up. Oh my god, dude. That shit set me on edge. That was awful. That was awful. There's no excuse for that. That was awful. And that is the phrase that keeps repeating in my mind more than anything. Honestly, more than anything, I just keep thinking about how fucked up that is. How fucked up that was. And you know what? Maybe part of the reason that this kind of has me fucked up, another reason, is because, you know, as of the last few months, this is how I make my income, speaking my mind. And I'm kind of a political extremist. I wouldn't say that I'm, you know, anything to be scared of or whatever. But I've got some pretty radical ideas. I don't want to be next. That's another reason I'm afraid to normalize this shit. That's another reason I'm advocating against this kind of tactic in the future. That's another reason why I am making my position on this clear, that while Charlie Kirk is not exactly the biggest loss in the world, it is not right to kill someone because they fucking disagree with you, or because you disagree with them. It is especially not right to kill somebody because they're expressing that opinion publicly. That is a direct attack on free speech. That is a direct attack on the idea that you are allowed to say whatever the fuck you want. And in my opinion, that's one of the few redeeming things about America, right? Is the fact that we're allowed to say whatever the fuck we want. I watched that, kind of wish I didn't. I 100% wish I didn't. I can't get it out of my head. I'll be 100% honest with you. I cannot fucking get it out of my head. You can see it in his eyes. You can see the moment when everything else stops to matter. And the only thing you can think about is, oh my God, somebody just shot me. You can see all the import of that event he was holding just flee from him. Oh man. Fucked up. Fucked up. Make sure you guys hit that like button if you haven't hit it already. It really does help the stream. Every single time you hit that like button, there's a chance to send the stream out to even more people, which increases the quality of your viewing pleasure by increasing the number of people who can engage with the chat. And consider sending a super chat if you want to make sure your question gets read or answered. I do read every single one, as long as it doesn't violate terms of service. It's also just a great way to financially support the channel, you know? Help me buy more shit to make this shit better. To the fray every single day, into the fray with $5 raise, with the freight and jam standing right at my side. I can sing as loud as I want without waking anyone inside or outside. Sorry. Anyway, thank you, Frey. I appreciate that. As always, thank you so much. Hit that with a heart. Boop, boop, boop. God damn it. Boop. There we go. Here's my favorite quote. Why do I do this? When both sides stop talking, we get violence. I mean, I can't help but kind of agree with him there, honestly. Yep. 2 honks to move. That tracks. See, this is a motherfucker. I bet you he doesn't spam the horn. I bet you he doesn't spam the horn. You can tell the horns are done whenever the bells go off. It's a little cheat you can do for trains. Okay, so let me catch up with the chat real quick. Thank you, Riley, for the $10. I appreciate you so fucking much. Always, always. Utah, my home state. Amused by the videos of the crowd, the Mormons, while fearing for their lives, still say, "Oh my gosh," and "darn" to avoid swearing. That is true. I noticed that as well. It's one of, I guess, like, honestly, it's one of the more surreal things about the footage is that you can really tell how deeply that cultural programming goes when you watch a video like that, or the many videos like that, really. Somebody said, let's see here. Steven said, "I'm still waiting for story time since yesterday." Yeah, hey peeps, I'm going to dip around 1 a.m. That's fine. Yeah, you guys are owed a story time. That is true. You guys are owed a story time. Now, the real question is, what do you guys want to hear a story about? Story with a happy ending, perhaps a recent story about Charlie Kirk. I see what you did there. Okay, well, since you guys haven't thrown out any suggestions, I've come upon one. It does actually have a happy ending, ironically. But, yeah, I think I'm just going to tell you guys a little bit about the fucking New Hampshire Rainbow Gathering of 2023. It was the only time, I've gone to Rainbow 4 times, and that was the only time I've ran a kitchen, or something like a kitchen. Technically, what me and my road dog ran that year, and their partner, what we all ran that year technically would be called a hydration station, because that was the main thing that we were serving, was fresh water, fresh coffee, and fresh sweet tea. And we were like probably one of the most conveniently located hydration stations in the whole festival. Literally, there were kitchens like located all throughout, but if you were going from Main Meadow deeper into the woods, you were 110% going to walk by our hydration station. And it was like about the halfway point, honestly, from the parking area to some of the kitchens towards the back of the area, right? The area where it was happening. Super well placed, super well thought out, planned out, and executed. And it was a really fun thing. And One of the things about running a rainbow kitchen or even a hydration station is that you are not just a place for people to get refreshed on their water or to get a little sweet tea or coffee, or maybe even some food if you've cooked up some food or something. It's not just one of those places. It's for that, but it's also for people to just kind of chill out and hang out, share their weed, have weed shared with them, play music. Literally, it's a gathering place. And when you're at Rainbow, the policy is usually be as accepting as you possibly can be without sacrificing your own personal morality. And when it comes to differences that ultimately amount to opinion, the suggested wisdom is to distance yourself from that person unless you're on your turf. If you're in your camp or if you're in your kitchen, somebody is harshing the vibe, basically, you're free to kick that person out of your kitchen. And Rainbow people will stand behind that. And we only had to use that one time. We only had to foist somebody out once, and it was because, despite the fact that me and my road dog that helped me do this, or that I helped do this, I should say, because it was like they were the one who conceived of it and bought a lot of the stuff for it. I think I bought some of the supplies too, but I don't remember the exact delineation or anything like that. So that's why I say I helped them. You know, they didn't help me. We when we were doing this, for some reason, despite the fact that we were both trans, we managed to attract some fucking crazy Christian dude that was chill with us and smoked weed with us and all that. And then we started getting into the theological debate. And that continued on for a good long while. It was a lively discussion. It went a lot of different places, but it became political kind of too. And it became clear that this was somehow some kind of weird hippie conservative. Somebody that's like, live and let live, but I think that queer people are like not real. And that fucking wokeness is the most evil thing ever, you know, which to me is like the most self-contradictory shit ever. But for this kid, apparently didn't even register as a possible contradiction. And we argued for a good long while. And eventually, he landed on what I think might be one of the stupidest phrases I've ever had uttered at me in an argument. He said, yeah, I get that, but I just don't I don't think that these people the Democrats keep trying to appeal to and these people the left keeps trying to appeal to, I don't think they exist. There's no black, trans, gay, disabled factory worker in the Midwest. And I was like, that, and it was so hilarious because I said something to the effect of, that's just not even, that's just complete bullshit. I literally know people exactly like that. And pretty much halfway through saying that, my friend, I helped do this, and like my road dog / roommate at the time, happened to be walking back into camp or walking by camp or something at that time, and they just I think they'd been chilling out by the water cooler for a second, kind of listening to the conversation, seeing how it would go down. I think they also liked hearing me own the stupid ass fucking evangelical, but when he said that, my friend came over and was like, I literally know people, they basically said kind of not quite the same thing I said, but something similar with even more cursing. They were like, just get out. You're an idiot. Get out. I hate your vibe. You're making the worst arguments ever. You're not a hippie. You're anti-hippie. Get out of here. And he tried to stand his ground for a second, but then I got up, and I don't think I had actually gotten up through the entirety of our conversation, you know? And he realized I was 3 inches taller than him and 150 pounds heavier. And I think I can't attribute it to anything else, because it was in that that moment when I got up, and I didn't do it aggressively either. I just got up like any other fucking stoned ass moron would. And he instantly went from being I don't think you can make me leave to, all right, I'm going. I love being a certain size. Here's the great thing about being kind of a giant, you know? People are threatened just by your very size. Just the presence of you is worrying in the minds of small people. Oh. But yeah, I think that story has a happy ending. It ends with the crazy Christian bigot dude that is pretending to be a hippie getting kicked out of the hydration station, being sent on his merry way. And we did not see him for the rest of that gathering. We don't think he left, but we're reasonably sure that he was avoiding our section of the gathering because he just didn't want to have another run-in, which it's hilarious because like I would have been willing to continue the argument elsewhere if we'd bumped into each other somewhere else. But you know, I was kind of sick of his ass at that moment, and I certainly was not going to get in the way of my friend kicking him out because they were pissed. I think they were a little honestly. If I sometimes I wonder, and they hate me now, so they wouldn't even be honest with me if I did ask them, but if I could ask them, but I wonder sometimes if they weren't kind of mad at me for entertaining the argument as long as I did. But yeah, there's one more angle on the Charlie Kirk story that I wanted to talk about, by the way, that I don't think we got to. I asked this question in Deep Fat Price chat earlier, and TJ and both kind of confirmed to me what I pretty much already knew to be true, which is that I'm right in my assumption that there's going to be political repression in the midst of this, especially if it comes out that it was someone on the left. I think there's going to be some political fucking repression coming out, even if it's not. Like, I think any kind of discussion of any kind of political violence is going to be, like, persona non grata after this. It's going to be completely unwelcome on any platform for a while, except, like, the craziest of platforms. Like, 4chan will still allow it, but short of that, short of that and maybe Discord and like some of these secretive fucking places, yeah, maybe you'll hear some political violent rhetoric on there. But I think all these like any kind of place that has any sort of mainstream appeal is going to have to crack down on any sort of. But and it's automatically going to lean politically, even if it doesn't end up coming out that it's a leftist perpetrator, because it's a right wing conservative that got fucking killed. It's a right winger that got killed, and so automatically the coverage is going to end up becoming political. And I forgot where I was going, but thank you, Riley, for the $2. I appreciate it. Burning in the melting pot, yeah, literally. There's scorching in the melting pot, y'all. There's scorching in the melting pot. And when I say scorching, I don't mean there's a nice fond developed at the bottom that we need to scrape off and turn into flavor. I mean that the dishes become scorched. The dishes become scorched. And it's going to need some real mending by some real expert chefs to make it edible again. But yeah, I was talking about political repression after this shit. Yeah, so I think even, like, I don't think there's necessarily going to be hardcore political repression if it ends up not being a left-winger that did it. if it ends up being some other variety of person, some other variety of political animal. But I do think that even if it ends up being some other kind of political animal, like I said, I think there will end up being some kind of political repression coming, simply because I think that mostly threats towards right wing are going to be policed after this. Because for some reason, America is always, and this is kind of like a hypocrisy that we can talk about a little bit when it comes to this shit. America is always way more upset when some kind of fucking conservative gets shot or fucking killed or assassinated or whatever than they are when a lefty does, at least in modern history. Because like there was not nearly this much outrage and this much discussion when those Democrats from uh, Minnesota got killed, or when there was I can't remember, was it an attempt or successful assassination? I think it was successful, wasn't it? It's been so long now, I can't even remember. The left's time is up. Don't you think that's guilt by association? Like, don't you think, like, associating the entirety of the left with whoever may have shot Charlie Kirk, or, like, whoever did shoot Charlie Kirk, I should say, who's definitely got shot. This isn't like the Trump thing where you can maybe argue that it was maybe some kind of weird conspiracy theory thing, you know? This happened. But I gotta be honest with you, this makes me genuinely wonder if there's no way these two things are connected, right? Is there any way these two things are connected? Is there some web that I'm not seeing here? It makes me honestly believe more that the Trump assassination attempt was real. Because there's this conspiracy theory going around on the left that it wasn't even a real fucking assassination attempt, that Trump just did it for publicity. And for a while I kind of wondered, could that be? But the more I think about it, the less likely I think that is. Unpopular opinion, if in 2025 you think politics is about left versus right, you need to check yourself into a hospital. I think that that's just like what else is it about? I mean, like when you say politics, I assume you're talking about like electoral politics and the like politics as they exist as a concept of discussion in America. And I think in that way it is very much a left versus right thing. I mean, I would argue that ultimately politics should be more about the working class versus the bourgeoisie, but that's not how the rest of the world sees it. You kind of have to get people there first. And that very much is a left versus right conversation. The right won't accept it even with blatant evidence if it was a Republican. We'll have to see. I don't want to count him short just yet. I don't want to say for sure that that's not I don't want to say for sure right now that the right's not going to accept it if it was a right winger, but it wouldn't surprise me if they play denialism with it, because literally anything that doesn't go in line with what the Republicans want for the world and for themselves and what they want to be true, they will just play the fucking denialism game with it. So at what point do you stop engaging with that, $2. I don't want Civil War Part 2. Thank you, for Riley, for the $2. Yeah, no, I don't want Civil War 2 either. I remember TJ and Scotty covering this article earlier about, national divorce is on the table again. Oh, man. Shit's getting wild, y'all. Shit has been wild for a while. And now we're starting to see, I think, the clear and really visible fruits of things getting as wild as they have been. Things have been building to this for a while, but this is as serious as it's gotten in a long ass time. I don't want Civil War Part 2 either. And I don't think a lot of Americans do. But what I do think a lot of Americans are considering is the idea of a national divorce, and that could be something to contend with. And people think you could just like split the country into like the deep south and Texas, maybe a couple Midwestern states, and then everybody else. Nope. If you were actually going to do a national divorce with the United States, it needs to be 3 countries, maybe even 4. I would argue at least 3. The Northeast, then kind of like the eastern, northern kind of region of the Midwest. So basically Ohio, Pennsylvania, New York, New Hampshire, Vermont, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Massachusetts, Maine, West Virginia, probably, Maryland, Connecticut, Virginia. You could make an argument for bringing in fucking North Carolina, too, arguably. You can make an argument for it, but I don't think you should. Fuck them. They can be part of the South, which would consist of North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, Mississippi, Arkansas, Louisiana, Texas, fucking Missouri. No. Nah. Maybe. I don't know. Leave Missouri out of it, but Oklahoma definitely is going on there. Tennessee, which I think I already said. Texas, I think I already said. So yeah, the whole South, that's going to be its own country for sure. Then you've got like, but here's the thing, maybe even, it might even have to be 4 countries because like honestly, Utah, Montana, and like the Dakotas, like there's a bunch of places that a lot of people would consider the Midwest or even maybe the West Coast that are actually like super fucking conservative that would probably not want to be part of a country as liberal as the Midwest would actually end up being. If you consider the fact that it would have Illinois and Missouri, 2 weed legal states in it already, and then you'd probably include Colorado in the Midwestern states. I don't know, but I would imagine probably. Dude, Tristan, you are fucking retarded at this point. You're just choosing to actively ignore medical science. And I'm sick to death of people like you that are completely uninformed in the topic, calling it make-believe because you don't understand trans people. I need you to look up Mayo Clinic transgenderism and read the fucking article. There's literally a whole series of articles meant for lay people to understand the medical side behind people like me. And I beg of you to go read that shit and better yourself before you sound like a fucking moron again. Like, you realize you don't have to sound like a complete dipshit, asshole, dickhead moron? Like, you know you don't have to do that? You can actually better yourself. You can actually read shit. You're allowed to. Just because your mom didn't read to you when you were a kid doesn't mean you're not allowed to read, okay? Yeah, I don't care about that BS. Literally, anti-intellectualism. This is what anti-intellectualism looks like, folks. Somebody saying, I don't give a shit, because that doesn't go along with what I want to believe. What I want to believe is that trans people are inherently fucked up. What I want to believe is that trans people need to fix themselves. What I want to believe is that I'm in the right about this. And when you ask him to read something that would inform him, I won't give a shit about that. He is. Of course not. You're a moron. Why would you? Far be it from you to actually improve yourself. Far be it from you to better yourself in any way, right? If you were going to better yourself, you'd be out doing that shit. Not trolling in my chat, looking for attention at 1 in the morning. You should probably be in bed or doing your homework at the very least. Shit. That one's not going to break. Yeah, I'll leave that one out for a while. Leave that one out for a while. Likely won't be a full-blown civil war that encompasses the country. Will likely be small fractions of unrest. Well, I mean, yeah, more than it is already, like you said. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like the other scary thing about it is that the country is not exactly in a great state as it is when it comes to this unrest shit. The country's kind of been in a perpetual state of unrest since Trump took office. Honestly, I'm just going to say it. The country has been in a perpetual state of unrest since COVID, and it worsened immensely after the Trump assassination attempt, and it just worsened by a fuck ton. Because this wasn't an attempt, this was successful. Not only was it successful, it was bloody and witnessed by millions of people. Hi, from my BF and me. Well, hi. I believe Riley sent a super chat earlier, and I forgot to... Oh, I read it. Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't want Civil War Part 2 either, but I also kind of am ready to figure out what the next step is. Dude. If the only way out is through, then I'm ready for us to be through. I wonder what political party the person who wrote those trans-loving papers subscribed to. Those trans-loving papers subscribed to? What? Those trans-loving papers? Dude, Tristan, you're just revealing that you're a fucking moron who's never read a study in your life. You don't even believe in them because you think everything is politics. In your mind, politics is the precursor to everything, because that's how you look at the world. In your mind, like here's the thing, bro, Tristan. You know what the difference is between me and you? Fundamentally, my politics derive from what I see out in the world. My politics derive from what I experience out in the world. My politics derive from what I read, what I experience, the people I talk to. Real shit. I don't start with what I think is nice and go from there. The only part of my politics that is like inborn to me, or that is arbitrary in some way, I guess, is that I value human suffering as something that we should reduce, or I value human happiness as something we should improve. You know, I value reducing human suffering and increasing human happiness. Those things are arbitrary. You don't have to value those things, but I can't help but value those things. So I consider them pretty fundamental to my politics. But other than that, I don't really feel the need to append arbitrary rules to reality that don't make any fucking sense outside of upholding some person's idea of how a human being should live or act or be or whatever. And what the science says about trans people is that we are 100% always more, we live a higher quality existence when we are allowed to express ourselves openly. We live a higher quality existence when we are allowed to get hormone replacement therapy and other like gender affirming care. Civil War LMAO. Americans don't care enough about rising rent, low wages, accessible health care. But yeah, Civil War over Charlie Kirk. Well, here's the thing. Americans do care about those things, but our political will has been completely subverted, and so people don't talk about those things. If you actually get somebody to talk about those things, or if you actually listen to just everyday people, like if you've got a bunch of people from all over the political spectrum in your life, I don't know about you, but I know a lot of people who do care about those things on some level, clearly, but either they don't think about them as a political issue, or they don't consider themselves empowered in some way that would allow them to pursue those things as political issues. But for some fucking reason, Americans will get it in their head that now is the time to act. Whenever a big, like, um, whenever a big violent event like this happens, it has a way of galvanizing people, not just Americans, but people in general. I mean, keep in mind that World War I, or was it World War II? I think it was World War I, right? One of them, I can't remember which one, was literally started by a single assassination. One politician died. One little old politician. One little old anarchist. And World War I or World War II, I can't remember which one, was born. I think it was World War I. It was the murder of Franz Ferdinand, whoever the fuck, like whatever the fuck that was. World War I, thank you. Do leftist trans people even have a political party? Democrats really don't give a shit about them? No. No. Leftist trans people don't have a political party in this country. Not at all. That is a very apt observation. That's the thing. That's another reason why it fucking blows, right? To see the rhetoric being what it is when it comes to this this assassination is because, number one, people are just assuming that it must be a leftist, right? And so they're going, but in so many people's minds, leftist and Democrat mean the same thing, when in reality, they don't. They don't. A Democrat wants to continue capitalism, but they want to just be like nice to women and gay people. That's not a fucking leftist. A leftist is somebody who wants to break the system of wage slavery, who wants to revolutionize the country and make it work for workers better than it works for billionaires. That's a leftist. A leftist is somebody who fights for the people, for the power of everyday people, for the power of the collective. of society. That's not what a Democrat does. Democrats fight for their own gain. Democrats fight for the gain of the party. So no, leftist trans people have no political party in this country and likely never will. At this rate, I mean, I really do think that Republicans and Democrats need to get behind some kind of independent or third-party movement in 2025. Well, there goes that. This is going to galvanize so many people of the Republican Party that were on the fence before this. And I fucking hate it for that. Dude, it's one of the many repercussions that's going to come out of this, regardless of who ends up being the killer. One of the repercussions that just came out of this is the Republican Party just got a rallying cry. Everybody that's ever voted Trump just got reminded of their solidarity with everyone else who's ever voted Trump or made a conservative argument. This was a rallying cry. MAGA was kind of in shambles there for a while. Their president's falling apart, clearly having health issues. Israel strikes Qatar, one of our fucking, allies, ostensibly. And, Trump condemned it, but also was, still soft on Israel about it. It's fucking... There was so much, and that's not even getting into the Epstein files shit. This is going to take precedence for the next 2 weeks, and when we come out of it, I doubt very seriously, unless there's some kind of gigantic reveal that comes out of the Epstein files, I doubt very seriously that we're going to hear about that again for months. One thing you can look forward to, there's going to be serious discussions about disarming and discriminating against leftists. Despite and it'll happen. I mean, it's already kind of happening, but I think it's going to be moved to the State House before they even figure out the political affiliations of whoever did this. I might be wrong, but I think that we'll probably find out the political affiliations of this person at the same time that we find out that leftists are being targeted by Congress or by state legislatures. Dun, 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 You were a child, crawling on your knees towards him, making mama so proud, but your voice is too loud. We like to watch you laughing. But that's the consequences. Know yourself, take only what you need, told them. A family of trees wanted to be haunted. Show yourself, take only what you need for me. A family of trees haunting, me haunting. Water's warm, but it's sending me shivers. I hope we don't find out the motivation behind it, because I hope the culprit gets away. Oh, Jesus. That's a take. Honestly, it'd be kind of funny if that's how it ended up going down. But I'm pretty sure they're going to catch him. I mean, the surveillance state is just too intense these days. No good deed goes unpunished, as they say. I had to move away when the fire got rather hot. What's up, Glitch Dash? Just talking about the good old Charlie Kirk assassination again. I also wanted to talk a little bit about that school shooting that happened, but dude, nobody's even brought that one up. Like I said, this Charlie Kirk shit's going to overshadow everything else, but there was a school shooting that happened today. The shooter ended up dying from self-inflicted injuries already. But there's a linkage between these two crimes. You know what it is? Can anybody name what it is? Can anybody think of what it might be? A school shooting? A political assassination? It might be like a tool they have in common, or a method they have in common, or a thing that they have in common. What do they have in common, guys? Hope you're having a good week. I'm having an okay week. Thought there were two. I don't know. Sadly, America is so desensitized to the events. Unless there was a major level of fatalities we don't even notice. They're great for ratings. Oh, well. You see, you guys aren't seeing it. It's guns. Guns. And the idea that a gun is not just something you use for self-defense or getting food, or the very rare occasion when you have to fight off your own government. That it is a tool for political repression. That it is a tool for getting your way. That it is a tool for revenge. These are things that our culture has become, like Glitch Dash said, so desensitized to that they don't even register as abnormal anymore. But this is not the proper way to see a gun. A gun is not a tool for you to exact revenge on your classmates with. A gun is a tool for you to hunt food, and if you have to fight off your own government, in theory, it can be used for that. That's according to the Constitution. In theory, it can be used for self-defense if you have to. It can be used for sport. Those are the four valid uses of a gun, in my opinion. In my humble opinion, you do not have a right to use a firearm to enact your political will on the world. Sometimes you have no choice but to do so, but I don't think that that makes it a 100% moral act. Lack of gun control, severe widespread mental health crisis, yep. So guns are essentially in the category of multi-tools? Yes. I would argue that they are. Like, here's the thing. I'm like a gun rights kind of lefty. I'm the kind of person that thinks that our main problem with guns is the way we see them, the way our culture allows us to see them, the way we allow each other to see them, the laissez-faire fucking way we act with them, about them. I think that there's a massive cultural issue. I think some of it's mental health too. I think poverty plays a big part into it. But when I look around at the fucking things that actually cause like problems when it comes to guns and our relationship with them, I don't see like there's all this fear mongering about like weapons that are too dangerous, but like the rifle that shot Charlie Kirk, from my just guessing as somebody who's done a lot of shooting in my life, I'm guessing that's like a decent game rifle, probably like a 357 or like a 357 Winchester, or like a 006 or something. It's something that can cause a big old fucking punched ass hole from a big old distance, which puts it in the category of like a deer hunting rifle or something like that. We're gonna ban those because it was used to assassinate Charlie Kirk. I think that'd be pretty fucking stupid. I think that'd be pretty fucking dumb, because I don't think Charlie Kirk was assassinated because guns are allowed to, because you're allowed to have guns in this country. I don't think that's why he got assassinated. I think that there are bigger issues at play, and where guns are concerned as an issue, I think the matter comes down to like a cultural problem, which honestly extends even beyond the way we see guns and also to the way people take care of their guns. Too many people are just completely blasé about the way they store their guns. They don't give a shit. They're just in a nightstand or in their closet or something like that, not secured with so much as a trigger lock. And those motherfuckers get their house broken into, get every gun they own stolen from them, and like they file a police report, but honestly, they should probably be fucking charged with fucking not keeping their guns responsibly. Because every fucking right in this country comes with limitations for responsibility. Like, you're allowed to say whatever the fuck you want, provided you're not posing a direct and immediate danger to public safety. So you can't scream fire in a crowded theater, no matter how much you might want to. No matter how much you might be able to make in your mind, politically defensible argument for why that's an okay thing, you're not allowed to do it. Because it's not in the interest of the public good. And it's actually against the interest of the public good. And I think similar limitations exist with the Second Amendment. One of the things in the Second Amendment, I know right-wingers hate it, but it's like fucking well regulated, bro. That means that there should be some common responsibility. Like, there's limitations on your right to travel, for example, because we have to make sure that people are traveling safely when they do so in ways that may not be too safe without some assertion of training. Like, for example, driving. Now, I do think our country would do a lot better towards actually meaningfully achieving the right to travel by introducing a widespread public transit network that can get people from the rural areas into cities or into small towns, and from small towns into cities, and from different cities to all kinds of different cities across the United States. I think that would be optimal. But until then, I'm sorry, there's going to have to be some limitations on people's right to travel freely as long as we have these big giant death machines driving around. Pretty crazy day, huh? Yeah, no, definitely. You know, let me see here. You never hear the news say if the kids who got whacked were bullying the shit out of the kid who whacked them. That's some juicy plot detail that is always left out and shouldn't be. Honestly, the sad thing about it is, Winston, the news that gets covered is the news that gets attention. So, and this is just something I've kind of pieced together from being kind of like so much of a news hound. If you pay attention to news stories, the ones that get a lot of attention right away or that start to build a lot of attention, those will get regular updates. Those will get things added to them. There will be people doing investigative journalism on that kind of thing because that's what gets the clicks. That's what's getting the attention. But if you're talking about a news story with less glamour and less appeal, like a school shooting story, for example, in a country that's become so accustomed to them that we are basically numb to the headline, those don't get nearly as followed up on. Those don't get nearly the same amount of attention because they're not grabbing the same amount of attention. And so, like those sorts of investigative questions that you're asking, those probably, like the answers to those questions exist. Winston or Glitch, who asked that? Was it Winston? I think it was Winston that asked that. But yeah, those are really important questions, and I think that they shouldn't be left out of these news stories, but very often they are, because people just stop following up on them, because there's no longer anything juicy, because it wasn't a particularly juicy bone to begin with, honestly. Because school shootings, like I said, in America are so commonplace that we become numb to them. We're so used to hearing about people getting fucking shot at school. It's honestly kind of fucking horrific how used to it we are. I hate it. I literally, it scares me. But that's the country we live in, you know? It's gotten to the point where we don't even fucking register it as a news story hardly, and so they just don't follow up on it at a certain point. Although people do care about it. That's the weird thing, right? There are people who care about it. It's just not everybody in society. You know, like I would say that a good 2/3 of America learned about Charlie Kirk passing today. Maybe even 4/5. Whereas, you know, whereas a school shooting might I would guess maybe a fifth of the country knows about the Evergreen school shooting, maybe even less, maybe a tenth. There's so few people I see talking about it. I would say maybe, if I'm being generous, a fifth. And so that story, like, we're just never going to get to hear unless someone goes out and does that coverage, and that might get attention. It's funny, these news fucking corporations don't, it's like they don't know how to think like newscasters anymore, or like fucking journalists anymore, because in my mind, that's a juicy ass story. If I worked for some kind of news corporation right now, I would be trying to get permission and funding to go and invest an investigative journalist adventure to all of these different school districts where there have been school shootings, and just get a general idea of how are these dudes treated. Like, genuinely, like, tell me some stories about them. Tell me what they seemed like to you. Talk to their best friends. I don't have those kind of resources, and I don't work for a news station. But if I did, I try quitting the internet for 6 months, then this shit happens. I know, right? You can't quit now. Couldn't agree more. The news should have been Charlie Kirk is fucking dead anyway, and that's it. Bring back the fairness doctrine. I kind of agree, Cockatoo. Bring back fairness doctrine. But also, Winston, maybe that's how the news should have been, but you can't say you're surprised by the fact that that's not how it went, right? Dude, literally, I was a little crestfallen because I woke up from a nap. Me and my son were napping, and I woke up from a nap when my mother-in-law got home and reminded me that it was time to go pick up my partner from work. And you know, when I woke up from my nap and handed him over to her, I started looking at my phone and stuff and getting my bearings about me. One of the first things I read was I saw the notification that DFF was streaming. I thought that was weird. I didn't believe it for a second. I read the headline, like their title basically, and then read in my email, I should say. One of the things I've got is the New York Times newsletter or whatever. So like, I I basically have it turned on so that I've got like a very brief summation of what's happening every 45 minutes or so. No, not surprising. Yeah, no. Apply it to the flipping internet as well. If DFF has to have right-wing co-hosts, then so be it. Anyway, I'm going to co-study how to be an Etsy witch. Seems like a good side hustle. Yeah, it might be. This is a notable success for sure. Maybe. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't really think like the fairness doctrine would have to apply to every single media outlet. I think that there should probably be some kind of listenership threshold, at which point you have to meet the fairness doctrine. I think that'd be fair. Like, okay, if you have like 1 million people listening to you a month, then you've got to have some kind of thing. Unless it's just you, and if it's like single person shows, I think could be exempted maybe. But then again, maybe that would just make all the news corporations move to single person shows. I don't know. I don't know, dude. On the one hand, I think the fairness doctrine was kind of limiting. On the other hand, it was kind of freeing because it meant that you got to discuss so much more than you might if it's nothing but lefties or nothing but righties. So maybe it should come back in its original form. What? I I don't know if I'm just too tired or too stoned, but I cannot comprehend that last message. What about Gandalf and bigger girls? What? Fuck. What's the difference between Charlie Kirk and Donald Trump? Donald Trump's none isn't on its period. Oh, god damn it. Now that's what I call edge. That was fucking dark. Oh my god. And you gotta tell that one to TJ. Oh man, he'll fucking love that one. They gotta know about it. You tell him I don't have his number. I just meant in the chat or something. I just meant like next time there's a show. But I don't have his number either. I just, I guess I have their Discord. I mean, that's probably, close enough. Frey gave me a tarot reading the other day that I've been thinking a lot about. But at this point, I've come to the point in my thinking about it where I don't know what to do about it. I feel like I've been carving a duck for 5 years, and I finally carved the duck. But now I don't remember why I was carving a duck, or what it was for, or if it was even for anything. Feels kind of like that. But not exactly, because I know why I was carving this duck. So that's not even a good analogy. Yo, it's the parts that never shall be done. Burgers are kind of a disgusting food if you think about it. And I guess most people don't really think about it. And I love a good burger, don't get me wrong. I love a good burger and make a really good burger. But if you actually start thinking about it, burgers are kind of gross. Like, in theory. Like, ground beef has got to be the lowest quality beef you can get. It's literally all the shit that doesn't work into any other way. Like there's no other way to have it as regular meat. It's just not worthy of leaving on the part that you're cutting off, and you can't leave it on the bone because that would be waste. So you got to do something with it. So ground beef it is. No, I told the joke and I told it here. I'm not gonna go post it on 9 different places. You can either make the joke grow or just appreciate seeing it live and die here in your hands. Oh, shit. So now I have to pass on the torch. I see what you're saying. Okay. Well, message received. Message received. But I don't. Oh, man. That's a dark joke, though. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. It's almost too edgy to resist, though, honestly. Like, even if I don't necessarily agree with the sentiment, even if I'm not necessarily thrilled that Charlie Kirk was killed, like, even if I'm not torn up about him dying, but I'm pretty fucking worried about what it's going to mean for, rhetoric against leftist people, depending on the outcome of the investigation. And I think there's probably going to be some political repercussions, even if it comes out that there is no, broader fucking shit. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get off here, y'all. It's been real. But I'm going to go ahead and go. Methinks. Oh, thank you guys for hanging out, as always. I appreciate you guys. If I should do an interview with the specific witch who created that curse, that would be good. It is a hilarious joke. It's a perfect joke. There's no fat on it. Setup, punchline, boom, boom. Yeah, no, it's good. That one's good. Alrighty. Good night, guys. I will talk to you guys more tomorrow.